Okay, so we're gonna start our cutout slab, and the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make a pattern. You're gonna get this piece of paper or a piece of cardboard, and this is just from one of the boxes of mine, and you need to draw some type of line that goes from the top down to the bottom, okay? Because this pot is going to move and is going to have shape on every side. Okay, so it's kind of up to you. What do you want this to look like? Everybody's is going to look different. Okay, so I could do something where I have it kind of look like this. I could have one where I have this curve somewhere else. I could have that like down here. Okay, and so these would give you different looking projects. Okay, you do want to make sure all eyes are up here. Our heads should be turned that way. Okay, we do want to make sure that we keep this in one piece. You don't want to have it where you cut it and you have two sections. Like I barely have this one on here. Can you see that? And so really I probably would want to like make sure that I have this connected. It's going to be a whole lot easier if when you cut this, it's just one piece of cardboard on the side. Okay, this is a little hard to cut, but all you need is a pair of scissors. You have the most leverage at the back of the scissors, and so that's what you need to use. You need to cut using the back of it, and it's best if we can do one, and you can kind of see I'm kind of bending this. If you can get this just in one piece, that's going to be the best. Okay, and so we're going to take this piece and flip this like a pancake, okay, and you should be able to match these up. You shouldn't be tracing it like this, right? It needs to be all the way to the corner up here and all the way to the corner up here, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and hold this and do the same thing and trace. Okay, now can you see that the same curve is up here, right? That those match. This would not be right, and hopefully we would stop ourselves before we cut something out that looked like this, right? We don't want it to, we want it to be the same on each side, so this piece is gonna flip over. So you would have this piece here, and make sure you flip it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out. Okay, and this is the pattern, and this is what we are using for our pot. Okay, we need 4 of these. Okay, so you're gonna need to cut 4 out. So next thing that we would do, you would roll out a 1/4 inch slab, which I have that right here, and you would take this back, to your desk, and you would section this out. And so you would cut these into pieces where I'm not going to cut around it. I'm going to just say, okay, this will make one right here. This one over here will make 2. Okay, so I can set this one aside. This one over here will make, let me set this one. This will make 3. Okay, and I'm just going to cut this little extra off. So really, that was a big piece of clay that I ran through the slab roller. Okay, but I have these pieces that I did not cut out fine around it. I just cut roughly like this will fit on here. Okay, so I have this. Now if you look, and you will have to look kind of close, there is texture on here from the slab roller, okay, from that canvas. And so if I really want my texture from the plaster slab to show up, then I'm going to need to get rid of this, okay, and especially on a fine design. So I'm going to just use my fingers and smooth this out. Okay, and then you have to remember that this has to be flipped, and the side that you smooth has to go on top of the design. Okay, so I have the plaster slabs distributed at the table. There's like 4 at each section. And so this is so you guys can roll things out, but kind of stay like separated from each other. Okay. But this is what the plaster slabs look like. Okay. This is not clay. This is plaster. This, if you were to cut on top of this, and cut something out, then you would ruin this plaster slab. Okay, you would leave a line on it. And so what you want to do, since they are not at your table, you roll your design, you take this piece, right, that has the design on it to your desk, and then you cut it out. Okay, so please watch for that. I hope that this is a good decision. There are all kinds of plaster slabs. Okay, you can see, I mean, this one looks kind of Aztec. There are some different animal prints. The lines that I showed, there are different types of those. There's some straight ones, some zigzag ones, but you can pick whatever you want. Okay, you can have 4 different walls or 4 different sides. Or you can have like all the same. Okay, it's totally up to you. And maybe I need to take a picture and like compile those so you can see it. But I have this smoothed out slab and I have the design that I want it to go on top of. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this on top of here. If I need to like line it up or move it, then I will. And then I'm gonna use something called a pony roller. It's like a double-sided roller. Really what we want to use is the round side, because since it's round, it puts a little bit more pressure in one section as opposed to like evenly distributing the pressure against the whole thing. Okay, so you want to stand up when you do this, which you won't have a choice at the tables, but you want to stand up so you can push like down onto it, and you'll see some texture if there's clay on this, and like this one has a little place that's kind of flat. The back won't look real perfect, but that's okay. So I'm gonna push and go like up and down. Okay, and you can definitely see that texture here. I'm gonna go and push sideways, and I'm really pushing into it. You can see how much I'm changing like the back of that. And what you can do is pull this section like back and look, do you have a good transfer so far? Because if not, you could push this back down and keep rolling. Okay, so you'll take this off and you can see like what a nice texture that was, that it was able to take from the plaster slab. Okay, you can even see like in this corner, which we're not going to use. I don't know if I can get this to focus, but I didn't get all of that smoothed out. You have texture from the canvas. Okay, so you want to be careful you get rid of all that. You can't really fix it later. Okay, so those are going to be at the, like in the middle of all the tables. You would take this back to your desk, and then you can see this got bigger. You would place it wherever you want. And so I would probably not be using this section because I don't like it. And I would take and maybe move it down here, hold this still, and then you would cut this out. Just make sure you go straight down, that you get all of the corners. Okay, so I've got that cut. I can move this, and now you can see the piece that I have. This is what one side will look like. Okay, if I wanted to do this again, maybe I want a different pattern. So I would do the same thing. I would have another slab. I would smooth this out, like get rid of all that texture. And this will really show up on this one because this is more of a fine design. Okay, so I'm gonna flip this, put this on here. You can even see some of it. And then again, I'm gonna push like up and down and side to side. And once it's really like stuck into the design, it doesn't get much bigger, but it will get a little bit bigger in the beginning. Like the slab will spread out. Okay, so little side, you can check, see what it looks like, and then if it's good, you can flip it and look at it there. This one kind of like an optical illusion, I feel like. Be careful, you don't want to like mess with this, and really the plaster slabs should never be picked up and moved around. Okay, they should just stay at the table and be used where they are. So then same thing, I'm gonna take my piece of cardboard, sit it on there, and cut this out. Well, I don't see my, there it is. And like that, I think that's close enough. Just make sure you're right next to it and that you're not cutting at an angle. Okay, so you'll take this part and recycle that. But this is where we are headed and what we are making. So in the end, you should have 4 of these. Okay, and right now I have 2. I think that it would be good to put a paper towel in between these. Okay, and I would just put one down and then flip this over and put one here, flip it back over. These paper towels are so thin that they can only absorb so much water. Okay, so they're not going to dry things out too much, but they do need to be leather hard for us to put them together. And so right now, if you look, if I were to like let this move or hold this at the bottom, the slab is just going to fall over, right? It's so soft that it really cannot be used. Okay, so that is what we are doing tomorrow. We are making a pattern and we are cutting out 4 sides. Okay, make sure you count. Every once in a while I have someone make 3. Okay, so make sure that you are counting that you got all of them.